Hi, my name is Monica Cañez. I am a social work student. I am interviewing you for future references for jobs for my interviewing skills. Tell me a little bit more about you.
So my name's Micayla. I'm in my third year as a social work student and at ASU. I'm got a major in social work, a minor in criminal justice, and a undergraduate certificate in correctional studies. So I've been living here for the past 3 years, so it's a little bit about me.
Okay, so I guess we're in the same route, I guess you can say. I'm also a social worker, as I said, third year as well, and I'm also minoring in criminal justice. So,
Cool.
nice to know. Do you have anything, like a big transition in your life?
The biggest transition that I've had in my life recently was when I did move from my home state of Colorado and I moved here to Arizona for college.
Okay. How long ago was that?
So that would be, this is my third year, so about 3.5 years ago.
So from what I am understanding, you came over here to study at ASU, so that's why you moved to
Yeah.
Arizona? Okay. Did ASU interest you in any way, or?
Yeah, so actually ASU, I've always wanted to go to ASU because I've got cousins that's gone through ASU. I was actually born here in Arizona and then moved to Colorado when I was really young. So I've always wanted to come back because I have family out here, and then ASU is actually the only college I applied to.
Wow.
So when I got in, it was huge. I've had an interest in ASU since my junior year in high school,
Okay.
and interest in social work as well at that time too.
Okay. So why, if it's not like a hard question to ask, why didn't you apply at any universities over there in Colorado?
Honestly, a lot of the universities back home didn't have either big or that good of social work programs.
Oh, okay.
So Colorado wasn't really a choice for me university-wise because of that. And then I didn't really look into any other states other than Arizona because I like to be close to family. So Arizona was my first pick because of my big family.
Okay. Do you have more family living here or in Colorado?
I have more family living here. So back home, it's just me and my mom, my sister, my grandmother, and then my uncle all live in Colorado. And then out here, I've got my dad's side of the family. So I actually have my grandparents on his side are out here. I've got an uncle out here. I've got a cousin out here that has 5 kids. And then my other cousin, I had 2 other cousins that lived here when I first moved, and then they actually moved out of state, but they come back a lot.
Okay, so part of your mom's family lives in Colorado, right?
Yes.
Okay. How did your mom and like that part of the family feel about you moving to Arizona to come to ASU?
My mom was very okay with it. She was happy because it was my choice, and she loved it, and then she loved the fact that I did have family out here.
Okay.
My grandma back home, not very happy. More the fact that I was leaving the state and she wouldn't see me as much.
Yeah.
She kind of tried to make me change majors so that I would stay in Colorado with her, but after seeing me through the university so far and through the program, she's really gotten into being okay with it.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
How was the transition from like Colorado to Arizona, like weather-wise, culturally wise?
Okay, weather-wise, definitely a big difference. Right now, back at home, it's actually about to snow. So,
Wow.
I do not like the snow. I've never liked the snow.
Really?
Really. It's too cold. Before I even came into college, every summer I would come here to stay with my grandparents. So I'm really used to that heat and not so much the cold. So weather-wise, it was a great choice for me because I can't do the cold. I love the heat. Culturally, it's a lot different. Like back home, I knew like where everything was. Like I knew where the good doctor's office was, or hair cutting, or nails, or I knew the school systems and everything. And then out here, I don't know much. Everything's a lot different. Like back home, like doctor's office or law buildings were in big, huge skyscrapers and big buildings that you knew they were business buildings, whereas out here they look more like houses.
Yeah.
Like I drove by one street and there was like 3 houses and then like a vet clinic and a lawyer's office, and they all looked the same. So that was kind of a big transition too.
Okay. Were you more comfortable with like, well, obviously you were more comfortable in Colorado because you know where everything is at, but do you like the differences? Like, do you like the fact that maybe doctor's offices are a lot smaller than Colorado?
I think I'm more comfortable back home with the style of buildings just because they're easier to spot. Like, oh, this is obviously a professional business. Here's their big building.
Yeah.
Whereas out here, I feel unconsciously a little worried about walking into one of those buildings because they just look like somebody's home. And I've had a bad experience out here with a doctor's office that looks like a home. So, like, that kind of didn't help that perspective. So yeah, I definitely feel more comfortable with the building structures back home.
Okay. Now going back to like your family wise, how did your family that lives here feel about you moving to Arizona?
They were super excited. So like I said before, I've had family members that come through Arizona or ASU. So I'm actually I believe the 3rd person that will be graduating from ASU. So
that's nice.
Everybody was excited that I was coming out here, and my grandparents were excited to have one of us out there because they didn't see us very much when we moved. I would be the only one that came back. Like my sister never came back. My parents don't come here very often. So they were super excited that they'd finally get that connection with me, I guess.
Okay. That's nice. What else? How did your experience change from like knowing that you were gonna come over here from like, oh, maybe I might go to like the Colorado University? Like, do you think schools would have been differently in any way?
I think it would have been a lot different if I stayed home. Back home, there's this, I don't know what to call it, but like a perspective where going to one of the Colorado universities is like going to high school again, because everybody from the same high schools end up going to the same universities. So back home, the major ones are Colorado State and Colorado University, or University of Colorado, and half of my school will go to one and the other half will go to the other. So it's like going back to high school with people that maybe I don't like or don't see very often, and then going through another 4+ years with basically my high schools.
So from what I'm understanding, you not only came here to do the social work field, but it's a different experience for you as well, since you don't really know people from here.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, back home, everybody goes to one of those 2 schools. There are a few outliers that go otherwise. So, one of the reasons is I didn't want a second high school experience. I didn't want to deal with that again. So I came out here, and as far as I'm aware, I only know one other person that from my high school that goes to ASU, but they're on a different campus, so I never see them. So it's... Go ahead.
Sorry. How do you feel about that, like, knowing someone from Colorado is here, but you don't see them?
I'm okay with it because me and this person didn't know each other very well. We had a few high school classes, but it's kind of nice to know, like, oh, there's some familiar person, but, like, I don't have to see you every day. Like, we don't have to talk. We're not in the same program. So it's a lot nicer that nobody that I know is here.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'd feel the same way if I was you. How about, so moving over here, how was like your travel to come here? Was it difficult? Was it like easy? Like you knew what you were coming for and you knew where you were staying?
Both. It was a little bit of both. So once I got accepted, well, I'll back up. So my junior year of high school is when I figured out I want to do social work, I want to go to ASU. So that year I went and toured ASU that spring of my junior year and fell in love with this campus and learned the dorm situation.
Okay.
So before I even applied, I was like, I'm going to live in the dorms my first year, and everything like that. And I had plans of driving out here with all my stuff like you see in movies and the traditional way. And then when I finally got accepted, I got into a car accident, so I lost my car that I was going to drive down here, which kind of broke that piece of that imagination. So I ended up having to fly down here, which was difficult because when you fly, you only can have so much, and they only can weigh so much. So I really had to pick and choose, okay, what's coming with me? What do I really want? What has to stay? So that making those decisions was super hard, because there were me, my mom, and dad that flew down here, and each of us were allowed 2 suitcases. But of course, one each has to be for clothes for us to be down here. So I really only got, say, 3 big suitcases of things to bring down here. So it was really difficult to figure out what I really, really wanted and what I didn't when moving into a teeny tiny dorm room.
How did like that make you feel? Like, was it, I'm pretty sure you were stressed out about it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever go back home to get more things, or did someone bring you more things?
Sometimes, so when I would go back home, sometimes I would grab little things that I could fit in a suitcase. But most of the time, like if one of my family members flies down to come see me, they'll bring me, like I'll ask them to bring me some stuff. So after the first few months, I really wanted a lot of things that I left. So when my grandmother came down, she had brought a whole suitcase back of my things. And then sometimes my parents will send me things in boxes. Sometimes they're like, my mom sent me a Valentine's Day box one year in the dorm, and instead of getting bubble wrap, she filled it with my stuffed animals from home. So like as she sent me stuff, I would get stuff from home too.
Okay. So. That's an interesting way of packing things. So living situations, you said you live in the dorms?
I did. I lived in the dorms for the first year. Yeah, the first year of college. And I lived in the shared bedroom, shared bathroom. So it was real tiny. My roommate, actually, I didn't know her personally, but we got connected through, I don't remember what it's called, but the ASU Sun Devils matchmaking conversation, whatever that was. And we, like, you can post, like, oh, I need a roommate for Taylor Place, and I'm in social work, blah, blah, blah. So we got connected through that. So I kind of knew things about her, but I didn't really meet her until the orientation.
Okay.
And then she actually moved in before me because of a school job.
Okay.
So she already, like, had her room set up when I got there. So, like, I had to kind of set up around her.
Yeah.
But she was pretty good about that, so.
Okay. How about, like, getting around places? I know you lived in the dorms, but, like, let's say you had to go to the grocery store. Did you have, like, your own car here? Did someone let you borrow it?
So, when I lived in the dorms, every weekend my grandparents will come pick me up and take me to their house to spend the night, because they only live 15 minutes away from here. So every weekend they would come pick me up, and they would let me borrow their car to go grocery shopping or go to work. I worked with my grandfather on a job that was like specific dates, so I got to borrow their car. Otherwise, on campus, like to get to and from ASU games or even to the store sometimes, I took the light rail.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't really hard for you? It was fairly easy?
Yeah, it was fairly easy. It was just more, I really didn't want to ask to borrow somebody else's car, but I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah. It's understandable. I feel like it's your family, so it shouldn't be like, oh, no, you can't do it. I'm pretty sure they're going to let you. And they did. So that's a good thing. Did you work at Colorado?
Yes, I had a job that I actually had to leave for college. I worked right across the street from my high school with two of my best friends, and we worked in this little tiny French bakery.
Oh.
And both of us, we were both leaving for college on the same day, which was hard on the company, but so we had this big like goodbye party for the two of us at the restaurant, and we had to leave. Occasionally we'll go back and like help a little bit, but at least go try the food.
Okay, and how about here? Do you have a job here?
Yeah, so when I first got here, I worked for a company that pulled on events for big companies. Like we would do poker nights or like festivals, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when I first got here, I worked for that because I picked the days I worked and the events that I worked. Now I currently do caregiving for a child with disabilities, and so I do that with my cousin. My cousin is my child that I work with.
Oh, okay. And how is it differently from Colorado? Like, how can I say this? Like rules-wise, like, I don't know if you're understanding me.
Maybe. So, back home, one thing that's different is minimum wage. I actually make a lot more than I did back home.
Okay.
Work-wise, I work a lot longer, more days of the week. And I like it more because it is family, so it's kind of lenient. Like if I have to do homework, I can do homework while I'm with the kids or whatever it may be. And then this one's also kind of like on my own hours. Like I kind of pick and choose, whereas back home I work weekends strictly.
So setting-wise, it would be differently.
Yeah.
But more enjoyable here since you get to pick and choose. And you're working with your cousin, so.
Yeah.
Or working, you're working
cousin.
So, do you enjoy it more here than in the bakery, or?
Yes, I definitely do. Back at the bakery, me and my friend, we would work Saturday, Sundays from 6 a.m. to like 4 p.m. And crazy busy, always on your feet, always trying to move. Yeah. Whereas here, it's more enjoyable because I get to spend time with my cousins. I also babysit his 4 siblings while I caregive, so 5 of them. And it's more enjoyable because I get to be with them. I get to do daily things with them. I get to learn about their days. We play games and watch movies, and I get to go to some of their events, and so it's a lot more enjoyable as a job than back home.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's family, so it's a good thing, I guess.